Luke and the Screaming Brain. Hey there. I'm Lucro.
And I'm the Screaming Brain.
Better known as Riley Cole and
Frank Dion.
We are starting a podcast up here for anything geeky and all geeky related.
Absolutely. We've seen them all over online and thought, hey, we could do what mildly as well.
Mildly being the key word here.
Yeah. So, ultimately, just me, him get together maybe once a week, or what do you think? Once a week, bi-weekly?
Probably bi-weekly. I'm thinking bi-weekly. That makes the most sense.
Yeah. And if you're wondering about the song at the beginning, we literally came up with that in 5 seconds. So if you don't like it, send us some theme songs. We'll gladly try those out.
Not gonna pay you though.
Yeah, you gotta do it out of the kindness of your heart, you cheap bastards. Yeah, that's a great idea, right? Like our first podcast, start slamming the audience.
Yep. Cheap fucking bastards. All of you.
And you know it's gonna be one of those situations where like the first episode suddenly it's complaint after complaint and you're just like, you're getting it for free! Why are you expecting so much? It's free! Yeah, but I love my free to be perfect, otherwise why make it?
Exactly. So I was thinking we'll start off with talking about some little things here, a little debate maybe. Sci-fi versus fantasy.
Oh god, like what do I prefer, or like what do I think is better?
We'll go with both. Maybe start off with which one you think is better.
Personally, I prefer sci-fi because you can do both an epic storyline as well as just like your fun little story, just to have like, for instance, a guy finds a clock that can stop time. You don't have to do an epic story. You do something like nice, simple, get an episode out. Or you could do like, guy stops time and then tears a rip in the space-time continuum. And then suddenly you got this giant epic, sprawling, alternate realities, time travel, space, fall into a black hole. Nothing against fantasy, but occasionally in fantasy, and I find this happens for most people, is they want like some sort of like explanation. They can't just be magic. People don't believe in magic anymore. Like, isn't the worst part of like fantasy now, being a fantasy fan, is like you can't just say like, well, it's happening, it's magic.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Harry Potter's a pretty big fantasy series, and it's just magic. There's no description of, like, they just have it. They're born with it.
Well, some are. I mean, you got Hermione, who for some reason is the best child wizard ever, and they're still worshipping Harry Potter because he has a scar and some glasses.
Because he stopped Voldemort when he was a baby.
He keeps being called the boy. Hey, we all came from somebody. Technically, out of 3 billion possibilities, we are the boy, girl / transvestite who lived.
And hermaphrodite.
Oh yeah. Gotta cover all our bases.
But I don't know. For fantasy, it's just one of those things, that it has the possibility for the most epic story.
Oh god, yeah. Like you watch something like Lord of the Rings. I mean, that is easily one of the most epic shows movies that have been released recently.
And it could have been prevented by flying the eagles.
I know, right? I mean, look, I understand in the book they explain why you can't just have an eagle fly all the way. Yeah. Well, kind of.
What?
But,
fly halfway.
You notice that, right? Like, even in the hospital, like, they get halfway and they're like, I'm gonna leave you here, we got stuff to do, call us if you need a hand later. But we might not answer, I'm just letting you know right now. I got my nest to go back to, my wife, I heard some sort of wizards rising again. I don't know what that is.
and like the thing also I see is that it's so much. I find personally that it's so much more interesting to like dream about and like go off in wild tangents in your head and imagine yourself in that world. Whereas science fiction, I can never really just put myself, unless it's Star Wars, I can never just put myself into that world.
Well, with Star Wars, at least you get the nice kind of balance. I mean, it is a science fiction, but a lot of it's fantasy. Like the storytelling element is very fantastical. It's, you know, a young boy gets this mission and goes on this epic journey to save the Empire. It's the Empire, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For those who don't, he's more of a Star Trek fan than I am. Don't get me wrong.
Star Trek? You mean Star Wars?
Yes. Oh God. The comic, you son of a bitch. You piece of shit. Look, I like the Star Wars films. I really enjoy them, but I am not the fanatic. I will not blow up the Lucasfilm just because he screwed up the prequels.
Whereas I will, for the most part, even though I do understand, I'm not going to go so far as to scream my head off, but I am a huge Star Wars nerd. But, yeah, what was I talking about? I was saying, yeah, fantasy, awesome, super epic. It gets way more epic than science fiction, in my opinion. I can put myself into that world when I want to just daydream, or even try, when I dream at night, I dream inside fantasy worlds. I never dream in the Firefly universe.
You never really imagined the TARDIS showing up and just being like, and then hopping into this phone booth, taking grand adventures through space and time, fighting aliens. No, I mean, that's fun to imagine, but it's not the first thing that comes to your mind. When you're a kid, the first thing that hits you is the friggin' sword in hand as you're running down a plane against, like, elves or, you know, orcs or...
Exactly, and that's why I think fantasy, in my mind, is better, because it allows me even to be more creative. I can, you know, when I'm writing or anything, drawing, coming up with ideas for a game to make. By the way, I'm planning on being a game designer.
I have no dreams.
It really helps me. Like, fantasy really gives a creative edge, and where science fiction doesn't.
Well, that's true. I mean, nowadays the market is so flooded with sci-fi, it's hard to stand out anymore. I mean, literally they had a show where dinosaurs were constantly on it. I don't remember what it was. I saw the commercial once, but like literally, that's the idea. Is they have a warehouse and there's dinosaurs, and you're just like, what? Or did you see that Terra Nova?
Yeah, I watched Terra Nova for the first 7 episodes.
I couldn't even get that idea. You're sending them back in time. That is terrible. For one reason, you go back in time, you screw up time, we might die. And then you create this whole time paradox. Speaking of time paradox, you know what always bugged me? Like Terminator. Like, everyone says, alright, well, Terminator 2 happened. They stopped Skynet. Problem is, because John's father isn't from that time, they have to send him back in time, otherwise it's a paradox.
That is true.
Or, you know what, like, here's an idea. Skynet, stop sending things back in time, because they're just sending better robots that he still defeats, and then he just gets better at beating you in the future. You don't send anything back in time and just build a better robot, and then and now, you can just kill him.
Yeah. That's just poor writing. Poor writing.
And don't get me wrong, Terminator was easily the best, and if you checked out the Sarah Connor Chronicles, those are fantastic. Have you seen the series?
It's on my to-do list, as is everything else.
Yeah, there's always a to-do list filled with like 50 different possible things that you're going to see on.
I have to try and keep updated with, you know, my animes, and they come out every week.
My God, yeah, I know, you're in One Piece, and I try and get into it, but oh my God, like, just looking at the sheer volume of episodes, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to get involved.
Manga's up to 700 some and still going strong. Episodes in Japanese are what, 260, 270, and English is only at, oh no, Japanese is like 400, and English is like
260. I could get past that.
You know, English is only at 260 right now, and they're still working on it. But yeah, was that all I had to say about fantasy? Yeah,
quick, favorite fantasy movie of all time?
Favorite fantasy movie of all, probably gonna go down with Harry Potter. I fucking love Harry Potter.
Like entire franchise, just like of the franchise, which movie?
Of the franchise, I would say.
Yeah, like Deathly Hallows Part 1, because I love watching them in those woods.
No.
That was the best part. Just an hour of them in the woods talking to each other. I just want to see in a wizard battle.
Talking. We can do that now.
Movie ever. Just watch them talk. Oh my god. And then Harry and Ron and Hermione had that weird moment where he sees them having sex. I mean, what was that? Like, I get he's jealous, but at the same time, I'm just like, I just sat there. What a weird thing to throw inside Harry Potter. Like, I don't assume it's for kids, but at the same time, like, you gotta know your audience. It's not like 50-year-old people are coming in like expecting an Oscar gold.
I don't know. I thought it was okay. I thought it was completely acceptable. I mean, it was in the books. I read the books. My favorite movie though was Goblet of Fire. I loved that movie. The whole games and everything.
David Tennant.
Did it?
Yeah, I think he played like the coach. Like.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. In case you didn't know. Well, not a huge. I'm a new Who fan. So classic Who. I went back. I didn't watch them, but I know most of the history. So I know a little of the history.
Okay, so your favorite sci-fi?
Favorite sci-fi movie? Oh God. See, that's the thing, right? Like, you got Harry Potter, and you can pull that out in the favorite sci-fi. It'd have to be along the same lines as my favorite movie, Back to the Future Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Why not Part 1?
I don't know. Like, for me, I really hate Origins.
Okay.
Like, I can't get behind, like, alright, well, we'll have to watch this, so he finally gets to a point where, he's really awesome, and then I have to sit through this. So, Part 2, I actually just really enjoyed the idea of seeing him go back in time and then dealing with himself at the same time. Like, I get why it's not new, per se, but considering what they could have been, did you read the possibilities of what it could have been?
No, well, I might have, but...
Basically, the idea was they're going to send him to the 70s, and their parents are going to be like hippies, and,
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, right?
Fuck.
So when Crispin Glover declined, they threw that out the window, and then they went with this, alright, well, we're going to go back in time to fix the past that we already kind of fixed. And I was just like, you know what? Better.
Yeah, that's much better. But what about Part 3?
Oh, I know there are people out there who hate it. I actually really enjoyed it. Like,
really? You enjoyed it?
It's not on the same level as the first two.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's not a bad movie.
I mean, the train was kind of fun.
Oh, God. The train, and, like Clara falling off the train, and him using the hoverboard to save her. And I know this is going to sound weird, but I've always come up with a theory on how he got the time-traveling train.
How?
He sends messages through time to himself.
Okay, yeah.
And then eventually he just sends the train back for himself.
That would be the most logical anyways.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the idea that he could just magically get the parts in his time, he built an air conditioner. That's cool. It's one thing to build that. It's another to, build a train that can travel through time on steam.
And obviously, like, my favorite sci-fi is going to be Star Wars, but if I had to choose one past that, I'm going to go with Wild Wild West. Fucking Will Smith. That movie was awesome.
Oh, God, it was so much... That's the thing, like, I think people forgot how to have fun with movies. You know what I mean? Like, they need this, like, grand, like, it's going to be an epic story with everything explained. None of this shenanigans where we have a little fun and joke around.
And not only that, but all the songs were Will Smith created specifically for, and that was awesome.
Yeah, you get Wild Wild West. It's weird, like, when he does his music, sometimes you hear a song and it's fantastic by Will Smith. But then you get like Wild Wild West and it's just kind of cute. But you know what I love in terms of like a song he created for a soundtrack? MIB2,
Yeah.
Coming, nod your head, you get that ending, you're just like, yeah! Sing it, Will!
I actually had like the Wild West song memorized. It's like Wiki Wiki Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want, no, running this, I'm gunning this. Yeah, I can't remember it all now, but I used to just rap that constantly because of how much I love that movie.
No matter how much your parents are, why they go to sleep? It's 3 a.m.
And I'm sure they're going to be doing that now, seeing as we're in my parents' basement right now. Yes, I live with my parents. Do you have a problem with that?
No, what you gotta say is, hey, my parents live with me. I mean, I don't pay the rent, I don't bother with the mortgage, but you know, they live with me. It's all how you phrase it.
I guess, but I'm in their basement. I have the basement, so... Oh, okay. So, what about for fantasy for you?
Favorite fantasy movie? I will have to... I think I might go Two Towers.
Two Towers, yeah.
Because that moment comes where, you know, the orcs are looking over the ridge and they're suddenly like Gandalf and he has a giant vibe just like, yeah, oh my, like that is the best reveal.
And the trees walked.
If it takes so long to speak in Ent, why not just speaking English?
Yes, because they can speak English, can they not?
Well, we know one of them can. Maybe the other just didn't bother learning, and he's just like, you walk in English, it's going to take a lot faster. No. You have to talk in Ent. Those hobbits aren't going anywhere. There's right. Seriously, how long did they talk? Like 4 or 5 hours, and they're finally like, we agree. You are not orcs.
Yeah, it took them quite a while. That was probably the most boring of the part of the movie for me.
At one point, if it's 5 hours, I think I might have left. I would have just let him keep talking. Yeah, you go. Free beer.
What are they going to do, run after them? They're fucking hobbits, they can run through the forest.
They hide under a shrub, the ants just look around. Yeah, it's probably nothing.
A mouse. I love the hand motions for that. Nobody can see that.
I know, but you know, they can hear it.
They can hear you rolling the dice.
You gotta be involved when you're doing it because you know you gotta be animated, even if you're not seen, because you're seen by the eyes of Shmuel. I don't know.
Me? I can see.
Yeah, he can see. I'm performing for him.
Okay. So in the end, fantasy's better.
I will give you that it's better in so much that it's not so overexposed.
Yeah, but it's definitely declining, I think.
Yeah, like I don't know, like something like The Hobbit recently came out, and while I really enjoy those movies, I have to say they're not on the same level as The Lord of the Rings, and they should be because you know they're a prequel series. I mean, it'd be kind of weird to be like, you know, these are better than the movies we released 10 years ago.
Yeah,
which is supposed to be the more epic story.
And speaking of Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah.
Legolas. Why the fuck is he in it?
Because, you know, they gotta bring in somebody badass from the first series. And the other guy died.
But he wasn't in The Hobbit. Why is he in the movies?
Oh, we're gonna start doing that kind of crap. What about that brown wizard? What's his point?
What, Radagast?
Yeah. I don't remember him too much in the Hobbit book.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, at least it wasn't a Lord of the Rings character that they just shoved in because they thought people would like it better.
To be fair, though, they at least gave him something to do. It's not a situation where...
Yeah, a love interest. Yeah. A fucking love interest.
Oh, no, come on. Like, his battle during that whole barrel scene, fantastic.
Yeah, okay, I'll give that. I'll give it.
And you know what? It's fun to see him racist again. Because that's what we need more in film, is some good old-fashioned racism.
Racism.
And we're getting it now. You know, 12 Years a Slave, The Butler. But The Butler...
Django.
Have you seen The Butler?
No, I have not.
It's just a pandering piece of shit. No, I mean, literally, it's a character who travels through the racist times, but he's the butler to the present who doesn't treat him like shit.
Oh, well... Then...
Yeah, I mean, the worst that happens, he doesn't get promoted. Boo-hoo. The rest of us don't really get promoted at a certain point.
I never get promoted. Yeah. I'm white.
I know. What's your excuse?
I'm lazy. Because I'm white.
I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave though. I hear good things, but that's the thing I always wonder is like, or is it good because, you know, it stars a minority and we're dealing with racism? But I think it's just a means to exploit something like that.
That's true.
Like, you watch Django Unchained.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
They're characters you're interested in, not because of their race, but because it's just like, will they achieve this? Will they save the girl? Christoph Waltz be awesome throughout the entire movie, or just do this first part? How'd you like Leo DiCaprio in that one?
Oh, I loved it. That was so. I kind of jizzed when I saw him and like how awesome
not
his
because
character
of the movie,
was.
right? He was just walking down the street, you're like, Leo! Face full of coke. Oh God, get it off! It happens every day. Why do I walk this street?
But what was that scene? When they were up top on like the second level of the mezzanine in the mansion, and he takes that shotgun and he shoots the chick, and she flies the opposite direction of the blast into the door. I sat there. I kind of was watching the movie in the theaters, of course, and then the next scene was like, wait, what the fuck? Why did she fly the opposite direction? And how did it, what? But I guess, that's Quentin Tarantino for you.
He did so many things. I forgive a little wrong.
Well, a little wrong. There was also the big scrolling text of where they were. I was like...
What, are you afraid the character is going to read the bottom of the screen and be like, there they are! Attack!
But I mean... He could have done that better. That just looked terrible. It was a bad font, first off. It made no sense, and it was just this giant block text scrolling across the screen. Like, what the fuck is this, 1930? We don't need that. We can...
A little piano chord, start playing... Friggin' screens come up with the text, they yell, and it just says, ah! But, Django Unchained, Jonah Hill and Leo DiCaprio working. Recently worked together in A Wolf of Wall Street. Fantastic movie.
Right.
Martin Scorsese firing on all cylinders saying, hey, I invented this crap.
I was going to go watch Wolf on Wall Street, but when we got to the theaters, there wasn't enough seats for all of us, so we ended up seeing Anchorman 2 instead.
Nice.
Which was a good movie. I loved it.
Hilarious. You get a chance, go out and watch. It was worth the wait.
Oh yeah. Oh, fucking 11 years or whatever it was.
I'm always worried looking at at the screen at our recording. I look like I'm recording lower than you are.
Yeah.
Am I talking too low?
I don't know. It sounds like we're talking at the same pitch. Maybe I don't know. I'll adjust it later if I need to.
The problem is if we're overlapping, it's going to be really interesting to try and adjust that.
Yes, it will. But, well, maybe we won't have to with over. I don't know. We're not talking about the things we are supposed to be talking about.
Right. Don't peek behind the curtains.
But yeah, I really wanted to watch Wolf on Wall Street, but I was glad that I got the chance to watch Anchorman 2 because first time I cried from laughter in a long time.
I think the first Anchorman is the first time I cried from laughter. First.
Yeah, probably.
I think Dodgeball, again.
Yeah.
Hilarious movie. And then after that, nothing as hilarious for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, there are movies that are funny, but those two movies, just perfect for these. Both of them just got me laughing. Yeah. Is that what's going on?
No, I think that actually made it worse. Okay, well, either way.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Oh, it's picking up that.
Oh, how about that?
All right,
Wow.
we just found out what actually is recording in.
Wrong mic. How about that? Well.
All right, so that's gonna be kind of fun later.
Okay, well. Anyways, yeah. This is the End. That was another movie that was really funny, but
oh God, yes.
but I didn't cry from laughter from it.
Really? Not even when, he's up falling and all of a sudden it hits the Whitney Houston hole and
That was probably like the best part of it.
Oh my god.
I laughed a little bit uncontrollably, like a Family Guy moment where you laugh uncontrollably for a bit, but then it's done. It wasn't like Anchorman 2, I'm blind, where it's just like absolute full retard, you can't stop laughing to the point where your eyes water. I didn't have that for this.
Your sides literally split open, you're pulling them back inside. Oh!
And I hope we're not like saying any spoilers or anything. I don't think that's...
Nah, I mean, we're talking... There's not any real big scenes, like... I mean, it'd be one thing if we're like... Wasn't it great in that one movie where, the end twist it turned out to be this?
That's true. We just mentioned blind.
And,
he gets blind.
How we will keep in mind that he will be blind. We're discussing something I thought was an interesting fact. The whole Ken Magoo work character today.
Yes. I say yes, he can, but it also depends like how they do the comedy and the demographics that they aim for.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I will admit that, but is it really a difference between like child and adult, or is it just like you were talking about child and teenager?
It comes down to being more between like little like your 8, 9, 10 olds versus like 14 through 16 is what you're
going that high? I thought you meant like 12 to 13.
Well,
because I can't imagine any 15, 16-year-olds who are like, Mr. Magoo's on, quick, gather round.
Well, I would, but I'm not 14. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm an adult.
Well, maybe maybe the high students would be like, dude, Mr. Magoo's gonna be on.
Yeah. Well, maybe not high school students now because age differences.
Oh god, yeah, like back in our day to date more myself than you.
Yeah.
I'm betting. Like friggin' 16 through 18 still watching Gargoyles, DuckTales, Jail.
Yeah, see now, so I was obviously still watching that.
You're at the right age.
Yeah. But mind you though, when I was like 14, 16, I was still watching like reruns of like Reboot and stuff because I love that kind of stuff.
I've never watched, but I hear great things about that show.
Oh, watch it. I mean, the 3D effects now are obviously out of date, but it's an awesome show. Good story.
It's kind of like Tron.
Yeah. Not the new Tron.
Yeah.
Not even. That's a piece of shit.
I don't know. I think what hurts that film is more like the score and
the writing.
Yeah, the writing. I'll give you that, but it's not a horrible film.
Yeah.
Like for me, like a horror. I have a personal worst film ever. I want to hear yours first.
Well, it's technically been said it's not a movie anymore, but Chewbacca's Christmas special.
Oh my god.
That was not made by LucasArts, and that's why it's not technically considered a movie.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess it is a movie in some regards. That is the world's worst piece of shit. There's not even subtitles for when the Wookiees are sitting there talking to each other. You have no idea what they're saying, and that's most of the movie.
Oh. Chewbacca's just searching over. My god, my balls itch so much.
And they didn't even get like they didn't even like get the balls to like try and convince the guy who did Chewbacca's sounds. I can't even make them. But like they didn't even get the balls and try and like get him to do it. They just like got some like half-assed punk to attempt them. And like female ones, like, oh my fucking god. And there was no story, there was no nothing. It was fucking Chewbacca and fucking Santa Claus. Fuck that shit.
You ever notice that in like a holiday movie? It's always the same thing. But he was locked up the entire time. Who ate these cookies? And then they look out the window and it's friggin' Santa Claus. Ho 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 ho! As he rides away, and you're just like, you could do that any time, didn't bother.
Yep.
It's almost the end of the night. He still has to deliver all those toys.
Yeah, he could have came back after.
Could have been like, yeah, I'm real. What of it, bitches? Peace.
Okay, so what's your favorite? Or
Scary Movie 5.
That's your absolute
Oh god.
favorite worst, I guess.
Not
because
favorite worst. It is to me it is the worst film ever.
Okay.
Like, you know, at least with yours you can get away with, well, it wasn't part of the studio.
Yeah.
This is a situation where they have the money, they have writers, they have actors, and for some reason they could not get a good script together. Even a good. I don't even want excellent. Give me a decent. Give me an okay. But this, not a joke hit well. They did that kind of thing that they've been doing in all parody movies now, which is...
Oh, I fucking hate most of them.
Yeah, like, they do this thing where it's not really a plot. It's just kind of like, alright, we're going from one movie to the next movie.
Yeah.
Without actually, like, watching any of the movies. So all you get is, like, these weird comments where they're like, alright, we're here. And now we're done. And then we're here. And now we're done. And you're just like, what? Why? If you're not going to at least try, don't do it. Like, I'll give you one of the best recent parodies I saw, superhero movie.
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, it is actually very good. Like, it's not great, obviously. It's not like in the level of like Airplane and you know, like Naked Gun.
Yeah.
You know, as a parody movie goes, it's pretty good. They follow the story of more Spider-Man, but their hero is called Dragonfly, and basically he gets bit by this radioactive dragonfly and gains these powers to. I know, right? Like. Why did we get rid of radioactivity, though, right? Like, you know, the modern Spider-Man gets bit by a genetically altered. Wouldn't it just kill him? Like, are we genetically altering spiders to change DNA so that we're super powered now? Is that what we're meant to believe?
I think that's what they were trying to do with the spiders.
So, as a last resource to they're like, you know what? We're gonna genetically alter spiders so if they bite somebody, they will die themselves. But your soldier will have the powers of a spider.
Well, I think though that it was meant to, like, what they were trying to make it seem like was maybe more of it was a fluke that Peter Parker.
The radioactive spider. It's a fluke is not 10 genetically altered spiders that one happened to escape.
No, but like what I mean is like it was a fluke that it actually changed his genetics. Like it probably shouldn't have, and it just like the stars aligned with like his DNA and stuff, and that specific spider's
just
DNA.
As Nostradamus predicted,
yeah.
One day there will be a lad who will be bitten by a spider, and he will not die, but gain said spider. But for some reason, the webbing will come out of his arms.
No, it didn't though. He had to create.
Well, the comics obviously, but then you got the Raimi, and then it eventually made its way into the comics, if I remember. Like current comics, I think they do have it coming out of his.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? They changed that? I don't keep up with the comics, so I just remembered comics. He built it.
Yeah.
And then he built it.
Which always kind of makes you wonder, right? Like logically, I could get behind, him having the webbing more than him building something that could shoot webbing. You know what I mean? Like he somehow gets the genetic information through the spider bite to be like, this is how you create like webbing that could hold up skyscrapers and.
But the only problem is that he didn't gain the pores to do it. You look at his wrist, because I mean you can see his wrist in the original live action trilogy. There's nowhere that the web would come out of.
Float up in his wrist, his hands off one day.
So I mean, that's the only problem I see with it, was they never gave that to him. So
like at least Wolverine has those bone claws that come through his hand and they heal up every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what Spider-Man is, I agree. Like there's no like slip, but at the same time, like I think that is still more logical than a kid who happens to build something that even your finest minds around the world can't build, like Reed Richards or Norman Osborn or.
But they did build things for it. They just never really thought of building it like that, because why would they need to? Right? They can't scale walls, so they wouldn't have a need for it. That's probably why they never built it. And if you look at it though, like in the Amazing Spider-Man, he builds like all those, like the little switchboard that he has that like automatically locks his bedroom door. Like he clearly can make stuff like that. And I think that's like what they were aiming for, right? Because he is like an insanely smart kid.
Yeah. who loves to show his identity to anyone who will ask.
Yeah, but he's not that. He's not okay. He's not street smart.
He's that autistic kid, you know, the one who's like, I can build an entire car, but I have no idea what the color red looks like.
Somewhere along those lines.
How do you make a glass of milk?
Yeah, he's naive. He's like really book smart, but very naive.
Which explains why when he gets the webbing, he orders it from Oscorp.
Gift. I don't think he ordered it.
I'm sorry, they don't show any real scene of how he got it. It just shows up at his house, and you're kind of like.
But he's looking puzzled at it, kinda. So you would assume that he's not like, oh yes, I know.
So the implication is Norman Osborn already knows. He's like, you know what? Give that guy some webbing.
Well, no, it was.
I don't think Connors gave it to him, because if he did, he would have been like, hey, remember that kid I gave webbing? Probably that kid who's dressed like a Spider-Man.
But I mean, like, he was pretty quick to be like, I know it's you.
And yet Peter can't figure it out from the fact that he's bald and has scales forming on his head. It takes him to that rat to be like, oh!
Like I said, not street smart. Naive.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate that movie. I just... You know what? No, I hate it, but at the same time, I still think it's a decent movie. I hate it for a bunch of reasons that ultimately are more personal than technical problems with the movie.
Yeah. Whereas I'm more of a fan of it than the trilogy.
Than the Sam Raimi trilogy, or?
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, the Sam Raimi trilogy captured the mood a lot better. Like, he was a hopeful superhero. I mean, sometimes he whined and bitched, but at the same time, you know, he still went out, he still did things.
You're saying he didn't go out and do things in The Amazing Spider-Man?
No, he kind of just stayed at home. Yeah. Like, I have all these powers, but you know what? Uncle Ben died. Didn't tell me great power, great responsibility. He said something along those lines, but I wasn't really paying attention. It's kind of hard to figure out what he meant. How suicidal is that Uncle Ben, though?
How suicidal?
Well, you watch him, like, you know, the kid drops a gun, and his first reaction isn't like, I better mind my own business. He's like, I better get that gun.
Well, because he just gave Peter the talk about if you can do something, you have the moral obligation to do it. He just gave the speech, so what, is he going to go back on what he just... You know,
I think that shouldn't apply to everything, though. You know, if you have the ability to stop a car from hitting a kid, it doesn't mean you should try.
But, well, I mean,
you're just gonna have both of you die. And then, you know what? It's just more tragic.
I don't know. I think, like, what if it was a kid that you know? Then of course you're gonna try.
I don't know.
Maybe if it's like some Joe Blow kid that, like, I don't fucking care if he lives or not. It's just a little kid. We have too many of them already. But if it's like a little cousin or something.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't have minded if, like, Pete's life was in trouble. Like, that would be interesting, like, because then he has to care about, he cares about him, and it's more obligation for him to be like, well, I better do something, because Pete's right there, and if I don't try and save him, then, I'm not using my moral obligation.
That's true. It was kind of random of him just to try and, like, stop everybody has a gun in America. America. Got guns.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess it was kind of stupid. He would just try and stop a guy with a gun. Just cause he has a gun.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't mind the performance by what is it, Martin Sheen, Charlie Sheen's dad, right? Martin Sheen?
Yeah.
I don't mind the performance of him. I think I agree. He's a little more realistic in terms of, like, he's the uncle of today, not the uncle of yesteryear, where you know, where he's kindly and you love him because he always gives you great advice.
But he still had, like, the old-fashionedness to him that Uncle Ben had.
Yeah. I agree he's a much more rounded character. I love the Sam Raimi Uncle Ben. That's a guy that, you know, you get home and you just want to hug him because he's just so lovable. You can't hate him. And even when he gets shot, like in the third movie, as fucking I'm not gonna say awful, but as, like, not good as you'd hope it would be. That scene, I was just kind of like, oh, because, you know, Sandman runs up and tries to steal his car. And he's like, "You don't want to do this." And he tries to talk him out of it, and you're just kind of like, I don't think this is the best time to make that speech, but if anyone can get it to work, you might. And then the gun accidentally goes off. And, like, he literally talked the Sandman out of doing it.
Was it accidental, though, or did he just slip his finger?
You watch the Sandman's reaction. He's not like, thank God he shut up now, I can take his car. He's kind of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You gonna be alright?
Well, okay, so you hated Amazing Spider-Man. Well,
yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
I hated it, so I still think, like, I can hate things, but I can still agree they're decent films.
Okay.
Like, to me, it was the Spider-Man movie that might have come before, like, Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
I mean, like, there's a decent amount of quality. I mean, there are parts I'm just kind of like, no one questions that. He throws a football, bends the football frame, no one says anything.
After, because I remember we had this talk a while back when we were first talking about it, and I never really thought anything of it when I was watching the movie. It never occurred to me, like, breaking the the backboard. And
see, you can kind of get behind that because, those tend to break if you just hang on to the rim.
But the fact that he could jump from the 3-point line. And, like, it never really clued into me. Like, I was just like, awesome. And then you mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, somebody should have known something was up.
That's the problem. If you're in this kind of ultra-realistic place, like, that's the problem, right? Like, Dark Knight, Man of Steel, they all... The Amazing Spider-Man all want to do this, like, oh, we're in the real world. This is gritty. This isn't your uncle's. This isn't your grandfather's Spider-Man. This is the real world. And you're just kind of, this is the real world. One person would question the fact that he bent a football frame with a football from, like, across a field in the bleachers.
Yeah.
And not even if they don't question him, you can't tell me a coach sees that and just goes, we don't really need him on the team.
Yeah.
Spider-Man would be set for life on a scholarship right there. And
so... Yeah. Definitely somebody would have picked up and been like, hey, we need you to, come play with us. We'll give you lots of money.
Money.
But Peter Parker probably would have denied it, though, regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great for denial. Hey, kid, I saw you throw that football. Was it me? There's two of you on here, and I'm assuming it's not the girl, Gwen Stacy.
But I mean, like he would, like, okay, well, no, he probably would have, like, showboated it off or whatever, because that's just how his personality is. But I'm like when they offered it to him, he would have just denied it and been like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah. I could see that a bit more, yeah. But
so there would be no point in putting that in the movie, right?
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna do a realistic kind of thing, you should at least kind of acknowledge that kind of thing, even if you throw in that scene where it's just like, no, I'm fine. I'm good with that. I think that's still character. It shows. Let's think. It shows consequences for actions. That's
true. Yeah.
Like comic book characters kind of need some consequences for their actions. Lately, they've just kind of been like, I'm gonna blow up this building. People might be in it. People might not. Let's see what happens. At least with like something like Avengers, you see Captain America at least trying to save people in the building. Yeah. Rather than something like Superman, not Superman, Man of Steel. Isn't that so weird? They stopped using the titles of Superman.
Yeah. Like, well, except for like Iron Man.
There's the Dark Knight. There's the Man of Steel. And
Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Where the villain is not the Mandarin, but Fing Fang Foom. Bullshit, I'm gonna call that guy. But I like Guy Pearce. Like, I think he's a pretty good actor. Problem is, that movie, he did not step. Like, you have Ben Kingsley being the Mandarin. He's being so threatening. You're like, oh my God, what's he gonna do? And then they're like, by the way, drug addict. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
We have not probably dropped a few of those already.
Yeah. Well, come on, like, these movies aren't released this year. If you haven't seen them, well, no, Iron Man 3 is this year, I guess, right?
Well, last year, technically. Yeah. We're 2014 now.
That's the thing, like, I don't know. I personally don't get behind the whole, spoilers thing. Like,
I hate when spoilers.
Yeah.
I hate getting spoiled.
I can understand, like, a month if you have But, you know, if the movie's been out for 50 years, it's kind of on you. I was listening to a friend, and he was talking to me about Citizen Kane. And I was just like, he started talking about the plot, and he's like, oh, spoilers. And I was just like, it's about a movie 50 years old. Yeah, but, you know, if you want to watch it fresh. I'm talking to you about the movie. I'm pretty sure I'm okay with not seeing it fresh.
Yeah. Especially a movie that old.
I don't think fresh is overrated, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I go into a movie, and typically, I think the difference, though, is I watch so many of them.
Yeah.
That, you know, you get to a movie, and you can predict the ending pretty basically, because they're ultimately the same movie. If it's a comedy, the characters live. If it's a tragedy, they'll die. Man versus himself, man versus man, and man versus world.
Yeah.
Those are your stories.
Comedy, this is the end. How many of them lived?
It's a dramatic.
Okay.
A tragedy can have comic elements.
That's true.
Hey, and they didn't really die. They live forever in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, well.
Doing dance parties. Do you think they did that a lot afterwards, or do you think they're just like, oh, that was fun? I'm gonna go over to my cloud. Fuck you all.
I would say, a few of them would. I think actually they probably all would eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seth Rogen would definitely say "fuck you all."
Like after he hit that first blunt, the song ended, and you know he just kind of started huffing and puffing on the ground. No, seriously, cool guys. I didn't know you guys died and all came to heaven. I thought at least one of you would have stayed on Earth. What? There's 5 people. I assume one of you's a douchebag. They'll look over at Fatone. Screw you guys.
Oh fuck.
What?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah.
We talked a lot about Amazing Spider-Man.
I will say Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'm actually excited about.
Yeah, so you hated the first one, but you're excited for the second one.
Well, the second one, it seems like they got rid of the dark and gritty tone. Like, the set pictures look fantastic. Not the set pictures, the production photos. Not promotion photos.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, they look brighter. They look like they actually embracing the suit a bit more. It's not being like, you know, well, you can't be the Sam Raimi Spider-Man because they did that. We have to be different. They're kind of like, you know what? No, we're just going to tell the story. And I like the suit design. I like the cartoony, like, bigger eyes. Those are kind of cool. And they're more expressive. Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, like, one of my major concerns was Paul Giamatti playing the Rhino. And they went with, you know, the robot Rhino. Yeah. Which I'm of two minds of. I understand why they did it, but I kind of would have liked to see, like, either him in a Rhino suit or him genetically altered Rhino. And I'm kind of the same, but I'm preferring this mechanical suit. Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, mechanical suit. That's completely ridiculous. In this movie that stars a man who's electric, that becomes pure energy, and a man who has the powers of a spider, and this other guy who looks like he can glide on some sort of thing and dress like a goblin. You know what? No, I'll buy that. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I saw that trailer and I did not have high hopes because I was just like, you know, it's Amazing Spider-Man 2. They're probably gonna do more of that. You know, I'm depressed, and it's gonna lead into just kind of like, who am I and what's going on with my past. And I like that they kind of kept the elements in there, but at the same time they didn't make it like, you know, we're gonna overpower the story with this. And that's one of the reasons I didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man, is because they had all these plot lines that are like, well, we're gonna tie it up in the sequel. I'm just kind of like, no. Look, if you're gonna introduce, make sure you at least conclude it mildly enough. Yeah. Like, it should have a conclusion that seems right and still explore. Yeah. I totally agree with that. That's why I like I do respect that they didn't kill off the villain. Yeah. So many movies, every superhero movie just wants to kill off the villain. You're like, why? Bring them back. Around, yeah. And that's what I like. Like, the Spider-Man series, they're already talking about 4, 5, and what is it? 3, 4, and 5. Really? Yeah. And they're thinking Sinister Six spin. which I would prefer if they just made it into, Spider-Man fights the Sinister Six rather than a spin-off. Because, what do you want to see, like, the Real House Sinister Six?
Yeah, I would rather just see it in Spider-Man.
I mean, that movie sells itself. 6 villains get together and try and kill Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, I'm going to move over to Avengers 2 while we're talking Spider-Man and stuff. They're doing it as the Ultimate Avengers, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, well, at the very least, we know that Spider-Man is going to be in the next Avengers movie.
No, we don't know that yet.
I thought it was confirmed.
No, it's a situation where I think he's being discussed for Avengers possibly 3 because of all the litigation they have to go through anyway.
Oh, okay.
But it's more of like a possible crossover between the city skyline.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, whenever Spider-Man eventually makes it into the Avengers, what I want to see more than anything is when Iron Man makes him a suit.
Oh, that would be awesome!
Like the Spider-Man suit,
the Iron Spider suit.
Yeah. I want to see that. I also want because didn't he also make like, or am I just like thinking up random shit from when I'm dreaming? Didn't he also make one for the Hulk? Or am I just like dreaming shit?
Like specifically for the Hulk or more Bruce Banner?
I thought it was for the Hulk, but maybe that was just like
he built a suit to fight the Hulk.
Yeah. I remember. I know that.
But I can't imagine he'd be like the Hulk needs a suit.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was just a really fucked up dream I had. But for some reason, I remember a suit being built for Hulk.
Well, maybe.
Who knows? Comics go in really weird fucking tangents.
I mean, for God's sake, Spider-Man made a deal with the devil.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I would love to see that. What do you think of like using Ultron for Avengers 2? Like, you know the story behind Ultron, do you? I don't.
Quickly remind me so that
Ultron
I don't
is
make an idiot.
Ultron is basically this kind of a what do you call it? Android kind of creature.
Okay, yeah.
Who can absorb the powers of superheroes. He's like ultra smart. And this one they kind of look like they're basing it off like a sort of like a Jarvis kind of AI intelligence.
Yeah. Oh yeah, AI. My bad.
Did you say EI?
No, I said UI user interface, but no,
okay.
Obviously it's not user interface. It depends because if it's gonna be like a computer system kind of created and put into a robot, like who's who designed this?
Well, from what I hear, it might be technology from Stark.
Okay, so like Stark kind of done fucks.
Yeah.
And somebody gets.
Especially with Jarvis, how
yeah.
he is. They maybe like a virus possibly.
Yeah, or somebody manages to get a hold of it within his company, and
as a challenge for the Avengers, I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it could sustain the entire movie.
As long as it could manage to get like all of them. Like very quickly.
First thing, like you got Avengers 2, and it's obviously gonna have Iron Man. You have the Guardians of the Galaxy who are gonna show up. You have Thor. You have Captain America. You have the Guardians of the Galaxy is a 5-person team anyway. Then you have Hawkeye and you have Black Widow, and you're just kind of like, you think one person is enough? But then I think about like the fact he can absorb power.
Yeah, so like if he could like start off with like the weaker ones like Hawkeye and Black Widow, like manage to like get a hold of them quickly, get theirs, and then use their power to like, kind of wean around and pick up the other ones. As long as they don't make the whole movie about him gaining the powers, as long as they can do it very quickly, I think it could be really good.
Yeah.
If he could get all, like, at least a majority of the powers, because then you're fighting Hulk, Iron Man, fucking some guy who has crazy fucking accuracy and just all this, and that's hard to deal with, even if all that shit as well.
And supposedly Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, so...
Oh, they're gonna have Scarlet Witch in it?
I heard Scarlet Witch. I'm not sure if that's completely locked, but I know Quicksilver is.
Okay, that's cool. I like Quicksilver. I
think it's Kick-Ass.
Really?
Yeah, the actor plays Kick-Ass is gonna play... It's either for that one or it's for the Days of Future Past.
Okay.
Because I know he's playing one of the Quicksilvers.
They might as well just, I mean, keep it. Is the Quicksilver that the movie that they're doing, is it going to be story tied in, kind of like how like Thor and Iron Man are tied into?
No.
Okay.
They're still considering the X-Men universe and the Avengers universe separate. Like, the way it works out is you can in Quicksilver's mutant past.
Oh, okay.
And then in the other one you can't mention his Avengers crossover. Which to be creditful, it's not like they're constantly talking about the X-Men and the Avengers, and I'm like, hey, we got this team of like mutants. Should we give them a call?
Yeah.
So it's not a huge deal, but at the same time, you kind of like, it would have been nice if they just had the crossover of character.
Yeah, because that kind of bothers me a little bit. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of when they do stuff like that because I don't know, when I look at like a character, and I guess that's why I'm not the biggest into books, because they like destroy it and then rebuild all the time.
Depends though, like I find that's more of a DC thing.
But I mean, they did it quite a bit to the Hulk too.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I'm not a huge Marvel here. I'm more DC, and like they every 5-10 years they're like Infinite Crisis, and they'll like condense the entire universe again, or like Flashpoint, and then it's another universe.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with those because you're gonna get new readers, and it still kind of exists, but they don't.
Yeah, they did that with even like the Teen Titans and shit too, didn't they? Like they had to like wipe everything, and then they brought in the Teen Titans into the weird ass. They're adults, and then there's the new Teen Titans that includes a lot of the other DC superheroes, and then that got wiped pretty quickly.
Are we still talking comics or TV?
Comics.
Okay, then yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because because there was that time frame when they took.
Yeah, they got the Teen Titans, and they got like a Young Justice, which is still kind of Teen Titan-esque, and
where it was, and then they had like the kids from the Teen Titans, and like they just kept like blowing it up and redoing it, and it was like, what the fuck? And
it just seems like they get to the point where they write to someone in the corner, and they're just like, reset.
See, I don't like that. I don't. Yeah. That's the only reason why.
Well, that's the thing. You like the epic. You have you to bring it all back. Haha. You like the fantasy, and it has an epic storyline. It's the same story throughout. Whereas I like sci-fi, so I'm okay with them being like, reboot the universe. Click.
It only took us an hour to get back to the first topic.
Yeah. The timing could not be better. I mean, we're coming up on the end of our hour.
Yeah. And
I don't know about you, but I thought it went well.
Yeah, I was quite happy with it, other than the whole Mike fiasco.
Yeah. So those who listen throughout the entire thing know that he started off really loud. I started off, I'm guessing, lower,
but I'll hopefully adjust it and make it work.
Otherwise, you just sound like a crazy person. Who's he talking to? I'm kind of worried.
Answering questions that aren't being asked and all that. Oh, fuck. I am kind of crazy, though, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've been wearing DC. It's not the right DC, but it's DC.
It's a brand shirt. I like when I thought of that, like, how does that have to do anything with Detective Comics? And they always look at me, they're like, what? And I'm like, DC. And they always kind of look at me and they're like, that's not what it stands for. So what does it stand for? It's just a logo. Why would you create a logo without any significance behind it?
I don't know, it looks cool.
Yeah, but
it's got a star, a little splotchy shit.
I know, but I don't know. To me, DC should stand for something. Even if it's not Detective Comics, it should stand for something.
Maybe it doesn't, just nobody gives a fuck.
like, how do we immortalize our names? Good old Donald and Calvin. Let's do DC. We'll take our first names. It'll be awesome. People will always know. And then, no one gave a shit.
But they recognize the DC.
Hopefully we can do this bi-weekly. Get together every 2 weeks, maybe discuss the movie news, our thoughts on things we've seen, things we talked about,
things that are going to be coming up soon.
Yeah. Real quickly, anything you're looking forward to, movie-wise,
Well,
anime event kind of thing.
Animes. Yeah, there's a few different animes that like I'm waiting on to get made in English. Like some of them a bit older, but like I've been waiting patiently because there's always talk about this anime is getting this English done. Like I think Chemical Deluxe is they've been toying around with the idea, but I doubt it'll ever happen. But it makes me so happy because I love the Japanese.
Yeah.
So I'll rummage around and see what's happening in today's worlds in Japanese places.
Nice. For me, this things like for the theater, RoboCop, Muppets Most Wanted.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Huge Muppet fan. I love those little guys. RoboCop, I just want to see if it sucks as much as Total Recall.
and yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit more about that. Because it probably will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
and as for the rest of the month, not like movie-wise, I just have no way to see anything. Oh, Community is back. I've seen that show. Check it out.
And I will.
Alright, well, till next time, this is The Screaming Brain.
And Lucro.
And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, next time it is.